And we're live. Hello. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful and safe New Year. I did take last week off, and that was because it was the day after Christmas, and I just wanted to enjoy time with my family. And I did. I got all sorts of stuff for this live stream. I even have a special guest. We're going to be getting to him in just a minute. But I do want to let you know that I got a new computer. So everything looks a little upgraded. I got some earbuds. If anybody is thinking about live streaming, you may want to get some Bose noise canceling earbuds. Totally not sponsored, but hey, Bose, listen to me. If you want to sponsor a small real estate channel, hook a sister up because these are the bomb diggity bomb. So today we're going to be talking about what's going to be happening in the 2022 housing market. I do have a special guest. His name is Sir Ashley. You guys might even know him because I have posted one of his videos from last year, which was just a couple months ago, but I posted one of his videos talking about how a lot of other YouTube channels had created this narrative that there was this huge crash and that we would see lower prices heading into the fourth quarter. Now, it's no secret that at the beginning of 2021, I was predicting a crash because we did not have all the safety nets that we have in place now, which was all the extensions to the forbearance. And then, the government just kept moving that goalpost down. And then more and more people were able to save their homes in 2021, which was a good thing, but it was a terrible thing if you were looking for affordable housing options. So in the meantime, let's get Sir Ashley on here, and we're going to be talking about a few things. One of the articles that came up, we're also going to be talking about article that he pulled up, article I pulled up, and then some floor plans for tiny homes that I think is really cool. So, Sir Ashley, hello, everybody. Give Sir Ashley a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
See, it's
Thank you
round,
for having me.
around. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Yes, I am a reformed attorney, a non-practicing attorney. I got into real estate as a real estate investor, and now I am both an investor and real estate agent here in North and South Carolina.
I think that's awesome that you
Yes.
actually know the laws because you can understand that contract probably better than most real estate agents in your area because you do understand the legalese of some just by one
Mhm.
little word in a
Yes.
paragraph of a contract can make all the difference in the world when you're if you have to file a lawsuit.
Yes. No.
I've learned that over the years.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I have a video for my clients, like a private video going over breaking down the North Carolina and South Carolina contracts so they know exactly what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
Sir Ashley, I know that we had seen a lot of people trying to get houses this year, and some people
Yes.
in a FOMO kind of fear of missing out. But then you
Yes.
got some people that were regretting it. Eddie's going to pull up that article right now. Let's see what he's got for us once he pulls it up. Eddie's if you guys don't know, Eddie is my husband, but also the little producer in the background. He's a big dude. Some regret sitting on the housing market sidelines. All right, Eddie's going to scroll that down to Scotch. As South Florida home prices spiked during the pandemic, some people decided to put their home shopping on pause in hopes that the prices may drop, a decision they are coming to regret. Now, a year and a half into the record price growth, dwindling inventory, non-buyers are stuck in a precarious situation. They want to buy, but are facing higher prices than they did when they first started searching and finding themselves at the risk of being priced out of the South Florida real estate market. So this isn't just a story to South Florida. This is a story that goes around everywhere, especially people around Texas and South Austin. You scroll, they said they feel like they made a mistake at some point and they feel like they can't catch up because the market is so far ahead of them, they can't get back in. Eddie, you can scroll that down a little bit. Okay. Allie and her husband, Steve, were among those who decided to try to wait out the real estate market after they started looking at homes in June of 2020. They put their search on pause a month after shopping, thinking it was likely that the homes prices would start to lower by the end of the year. We assumed the new year, with the election ending, we would start to see things to level out and they would come back down where they were. This was one of those things that everybody felt like that because of the forbearance plans. Instead, home prices kept rising, further pushing the couple out of the housing market. They're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in a $250 to $300,000 range. As prices continue to climb, they expanded their search beyond Palm Beach County, farther north to Port St. Lucie. They're exploring new construction and considering that they may have upped their budget a little bit. So when I lived in Florida during the last housing crash, my little area was in Lake County, Florida. Lake County, like Nowhereville, and everybody wanted to move. Happy New Year, CC Moon. Thank you for the the $2 super chat and the 2022 awesomeness. But when I lived in Lake County, was like a really rural suburb of Orlando. Like you had to drive a good 45 minutes to get to Orlando. But because the housing boom was so crazy, it was like huge. It had like they had popped up all these subdivisions out of nowhere. Then all of a sudden, the party was over. Subprime mortgages had busted. And to get people to even go look at the houses, they were like giving away Mini Coopers. You remember those cars? Do they still make those Mini Coopers? They would have them at the front of the subdivision, and they would be like, enter in, come visit our homes and enter to win one of these cars. Well, there was a catch to that, by the way. It was a lease, and you only got it for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't really you didn't win a car. But that's one of those things, though. I don't know, Sir Ashley, in your market, have people had regret missing out on the beginning of 2021 home prices? Did they miss out?
Unfortunately, I hear that very often. People regretting that they listened to unsound advice and did not get into or purchase a home in early 2020 or even in April, May 2020. And now they're priced out. And the kicker is they're actually paying more in rent right now than they would have been paying in mortgage had they bought. So it's just they're very frustrated.
Rent prices throughout the country, though, are astronomical because there isn't enough housing. And I believe it's because, big renter companies know that there isn't any houses available. So they're they know they got
supply and demand. They in the Charlotte area and in Raleigh, they've gone up about $150 to $200 in the past year, rental rates.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's significant. So it's I feel bad for them. And we're still looking. They're looking, but it's just they've realized that they have to go further out from the metropolitan area to find something that's suitable and affordable for them.
So what do you think is going to happen in the 2022 housing market? Do you think prices are going to continue to go up? Do you think we're going to flatten out? Do you think we're going to see a wave of foreclosures that were predicted in 2021? What do you see your prediction?
Yeah. No, I don't see. Well, prices will continue to go up. They'll go up. I just did a video about this. I think they'll go up. My predictions, for what it's worth, I think it's going to go up about 7 to 9%, not double digits like it has been the past 2 years. As far as foreclosures, I think there will be a lot of foreclosures or notice of defaults in North Carolina. That's what they're called. They'll be filed, but as far as them actually going through with the foreclosure, they're not going. That's not going to happen because all of those people have a significant amount of equity now. So they can just sell the traditional way as opposed to letting it be taken by the bank.
Yeah, I did have fear when we went into the 2021 housing market because there were so many people on forbearance.
Yes.
I'm like, if all these people are out of work and jobs are ending, like what are these people going to do? Some of these people went down to one income households. And I was super concerned. I was like, at the beginning, there was like over 7 million people that have filed for forbearance. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, that is not good.
Now, with that said, that's
Mhm.
something I'm keeping an eye out on in the future, because like you said, a lot of families have gone to one household income. And while they might have gotten approved for their mortgage with two incomes, a lot of them in the past, year and a half, 2 years, they've gone to one income. So it'll be interesting on how that plays out in the future. If something negative happens to that family structure, how that will impact, because you only have one person working in the family. When you got pre-approved and qualified for the loan, there was two people working for the family. So
I noticed, though, a lot of people restructured their loans for their mortgages. They restructured them because they weren't able to pay for almost a year. So the
yes,
bank worked with them and they restructured. I don't know if they added another 5 years to their loan.
some
I
of
don't know how
them
it worked.
you can restructure it to where you can add a couple years, or they've actually played around with the program to where you can go do a 40-year mortgage.
That's a terrible idea.
It is. So I am torn on that. I am torn.
No, it's terrible.
I'm torn.
They're paying more the bank. I mean, you're paying a lot more to the bank, and then your payments are not that much lower to add another 10 years. So you're paying 10 more years worth of payments and only dropping your payment like what, $150?
Yeah.
Give me a break. It's terrible.
I totally agree with that aspect, that point. However, it's no difference than what the people who sat out in the beginning of 2020, what they're doing now, where they're waiting for prices to come down. And let's just say prices do come down, right? The interest rates, we've already been told the interest rates are going to go up. So you're still going to be making the same mortgage payment. You're just going to be paying the bank more in interest. So it's one of those.
I mean, if it was the choice of saving your house or paying an extra $150, I mean, I get it, that's fine. But if you have the money and you can do a 30-year mortgage, there's no reason why you should tack on the extra 10 years just to save $150. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. However, when we talk about affordability and people on the margins, because this is who this is really impacting the most, right? The housing affordability and getting in. It's the people on the margins. If we're talking about that, one, if $150 is going to make or break, we need to talk and try to see how you can make more income, how you can provide more value in the marketplace. But it could be a way to get on the property ladder. So,
what do you think about REITs?
I love REITs.
Okay, tell everybody a little bit more about REITs. You talk a little bit about that before we start taking some questions. Anybody that has a question, please put them in there. Just write the word question beforehand, and we'll be answering your real estate questions. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about REITs.
So REITs is Real Estate Investment Trust. It was set up by Congress to allow the average ordinary person to be able to invest in real estate. So you're not investing in, it's almost like you're investing in a stock. You're not investing in a property. You're investing in a company that has a portfolio of real estate. And the reason why I like REITs is, one, they've performed excellent in the past 2 years, year and a half, I should say. Beginning of the pandemic, you weren't quite sure how things were going to happen because a lot of REITs own strip malls and stuff. And when everything was shut down, they didn't do too hot. We were wondering about tenants paying rent and everything like that. But it allows people to invest in real estate without having to put forth a whole bunch of money down. You can invest in REITs for as little as $10 to $15. And then on top of that, you get dividends every quarter. And not to get too much in the weeds, but if you invest in your Roth IRA, you don't have to worry about being taxed on it, and you get to earn that income over and over and over, and just save up in your IRA for retirement.
That is a good plan. O is an outstanding REIT. O is an outstanding REIT. O is an outstanding REIT. I'll have to look at it. Do you know that one?
I tell people I don't know that one, but look up REIT ETFs. I would not recommend just a novice or a newbie just jumping individual REITs. I say invest in a REIT ETF to where you're investing in a conglomerate of REITs to where you don't have to worry about one going up or down. You're pretty much insulated and protected in the market.
Mm-hmm. Somebody said, did we have some juicy troll comments? I only see comments on the side eye, Debbie. Sometimes I catch them on the side eye. And so if there is any, we have really good moderators. So if you're going to get saucy in the chat, my moderators will, I love my moderators.
I must have missed it as well. I must have missed it. I'm looking, I'm scrolling.
How do you spell that R word? REIT, R. Is it IE or EI? I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, RIET.
REIT or RIET?
RIET.
RIET.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is
yeah, it's
everything
REIT.
for everything 4004. Thank you for correcting me. You are correct. REIT. Yes.
Yeah. Don't ask the dyslexic girl because I still spell receipt wrong. I cannot. Every time I'm like, I just do that like talk to text receipt because even Siri can't figure out what I'm trying to spell. So yes. I just say it. Joe said, when it's said there's a home shortage, not enough homes, what does that mean? What's the math? Does that mean there mean millions are homeless or millions of homes are investors in investors' hands? What? All right, you go first, and I have my soapbox to.
I'm gonna say, I know you have some stats out there over there. Yeah. It means that since the recession of 2008, home builders, well, a lot of smaller home builders went under. So that means they didn't produce any homes because they're out of business. And then a lot of larger home builders stopped producing as much. So to have a healthy housing market, there's supposed to be a set amount of new homes hitting the market every single year. We have underproduced for the past 10 plus years. And because we've done so, there's just not enough inventory for all the millennials and new buyers hitting the market to where everybody's competing for a very finite number, which it's always finite, but we're short about, I don't know, you have the exact number, but we're short millions of homes on the market to where that's why sellers are continually getting above ask for houses that should not get asking price because there's such a limited inventory of available homes hitting the market. That's what I got, Kristina. What you got?
I'm looking for the exact number, but I think it's around 5 million homes that we're short.
Yes. Yeah.
Affordable housing options, because there is affordable housing options that were short. 5.17, I believe, is the number. It might be 5.71. Anyways, that's because there are people that could qualify for a house, but they can't find a home that's what they could qualify for.
Yeah.
So that number continues to climb. And that's been a problem. And and you were talking about how many houses that the builders have been short. And you're right. After 2007, there's so many people that lost their butts, builders wise, because they were building them up like popcorn, and they were building them crappy on top of it all.
True, that is very true.
And so. And a lot of them got their butts sued because they were building them so fast and they were doing it with inferior quality. So they actually had to shut down their business, went bankrupt. And then the builders after that were like, we normally make 100 houses a year. Since 2007, now they make only 50. And so they're short every single year for as many houses that need to be built. Because as kids get older, a lot of retired people aren't buying new houses. They're retiring in place. Then we have a new phenomenon. I wouldn't say new because I noticed it before it made the headlines, which were investment firms were buying up the most inexpensive homes.
You called it.
I did.
Yes.
I called it. I did. Yeah. And people thought I was crazy. They're like, oh, that's just an insignificant amount. And when it did hit the headlines, they even had said that's an insignificant amount. And then a month later, it was like they had bought over 990,000 housing homes throughout the area. They have, investors have bought about 25% in 1 month of homes in Atlanta. They're like all the investors, and it isn't just local investors, it's foreign investors too, but there's no real statistics on exactly how many foreign investors are actually purchasing up houses. I really would love to get that number, but
I know personally I work with local investors and some foreign investors, and they have deep, deep pockets. And that's another reason why I don't think the housing market will crash, even if the average buyer, the person that's going to be owner-occupied buyer, is going to back out. You have investors just chomping at the bit, waiting to purchase. So
Stick to
that's
let you
another
know that he
reason.
got 30% on his REIT.
I told you, REITs are doing amazing right now. Congratulations, Sick. Yes.
Sick Lid. That's a great name.
Yeah.
It says the housing shortage is significant. It's acute for small entry level homes. And these private equity firms, do you know why they buy the most affordable housing? Do you know why they do it? Inflation.
Yeah, to protect themselves.
Protect themselves. And they know it's easier for them to dump a bunch of affordable houses back onto the market than they would little mansions. So they're not buying up mansions; they're buying little houses that they could get rid of it over time.
You can get rid of it quickly. You have more buyers in that sector. So yeah.
And he says no frills entry level home that describes is about vanishing in America. Once the stepping stone on the path of the upward mobility for a huge swath of young Americans. In 1982, 40% of the country's newly constructed homes were entry-level homes. In 2019, the annual share has fallen to 7%. And the reason why builders do not buy or build entry-level homes is because they want to get as much money as they can per square foot. So they jam as many square feet, living square footage on a lot as possible because they know people will buy it. So why? I mean, I can't blame a builder.
Exactly. You want to up your profit margin, and the land cost right now is absolutely ridiculous. So you want to get that return. And so yeah, I don't blame them. It's just I mean, we live in America. It's a capitalistic society, right? So
right. But here's the thing, and I've said this numerous times. If the builders were given an incentive to get, first of all, cut a lot of the freaking red tape when it comes to bureaucracy of getting land to put subdivisions on, because a lot of it's just hocus pocus that somebody needs a job. And they made that land is super affordable just for the intention of building affordable housing options and maybe giving them a discount or a cost to build, for the building materials. And so all they had to do is actually build the houses. That would make it affordable. I mean, let's just say every builder was given 20% of your portfolio would be affordable housing options, and we're going to give you these government subsidies because of the fact that you could build on here. Then we would have more affordable houses. It's happened before. It happened after World War II. They built as many houses as possible. They used
that is correct.
They did it right after. So they used modular construction on top of it all,
yes.
which has been, to the wayside. I don't even know why, because it's really easy for them to do.
North Carolina is very big with modular construction, modular homes. It's huge in North Carolina.
Well, I need to go up to North Carolina more.
Come on.
Maybe I should go visit next month.
Come on.
I'm going to be there next month. Month I'm supposed to go to Las Vegas. Yeah, next month I'm going to Raleigh.
Okay.
I'm heading up to Raleigh. I'm going to visit a tiny home community out there.
You might as well come on to Charlotte when you're in town. It's what, 3-hour drive, 2.5. We have a little tiny home community you can check out.
That'll be another trip. I'll be wiped out after filming one. All right.
I got you.
So S. Stewart wants to disagree about REITs. I think there are investors upping the rental prices. Once there are regulations, they won't be able to deploy money, buy, and it will be in trouble. What do you say?
So I don't believe that's correct. Reason why I say that is because people that REITs are renting out to, they're leasing their buildings to, they're doing so to large corporations. And they have about 5 to 10 year leases. So these leases just didn't start. They couldn't renegotiate the price in the last 2 years. These leases have been in place for at least 5 to 10 years. And that's why, again, REITs are such a valuable investment, because you don't have that turnover like you would in a single family home. Most of these REITs are commercial buildings, whether it be strip malls or medical facilities, tech facilities. That's what they invest in. So you don't have the single family volatility to where you have tenants leaving and stuff like that.
I like my rental properties. If you guys have rental properties, do not discount rental properties. They're fantastic. I tell my kids that's your inheritance. This
I love
beautiful rental
properties.
property.
Yes, I love it. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I tell Eddie. It's like, that's our retirement plan right there.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. That passive income, you can't beat it.
Kelsey Chanel says, there are HUD homes difficult to buy. I've heard only realtors can bid on finally popping them up in my area. No. That's not true. So HUD homes, if you go to HUDhomestore.com, totally not. I have no affiliation with HUD. I am a HUD certified real estate agent, but that does not mean I don't get any kind of kickback by telling you to go to HUDhomestore.com. You can type in your city that you're looking for an affordable home, and HUD actually gives you the opportunity to bid on one of those houses before investors. Not only that, if you were to bid at the same time as an investor, they put the investors on the back burner. They give you the opportunity to bid first. They look at offers from single family buyers much more than they ever would for an investor. They want families to be in those homes.
You have what, a 30-day period for just, or is it 10 days or 30 days where it can just only be owner occupied people bidding on the property?
It depends on the property. Some of them will say 14 days, some of them will say 30 days, but there's definitely a window.
Yes,
they don't let everybody, they really don't want investors to buy them. They want, and they've been like, they do like a pre-inspection. I wouldn't say that is an inspection. Like, you definitely want to hire an inspector, but they'll tell you if the water's on. They'll let you know if there's any like obvious roof damage or anything like that in that pre-inspection on those HUD homes. And you just work with a HUD certified real estate agent to be able to open that door. If you can't find somebody, there's actually even a little box that says looking for a HUD certified realtor. You check that box and they'll get somebody in contact with you. That most big chain real estate offices, they're HUD certified, and it's a specific key. I know that sounds so crazy, but you have to get a HUD key in order to open the HUD homes. But the HUD homes are great. They're really great. They're usually fixer-uppers, just FYI. But nothing you can't do. Nothing you can't do. And they'll let you know if it's too much. Eddie's got another question coming up. My company was hacked. Should I worry about my deed being stolen? Well, that's filed in the courthouse, right?
Yeah. Register of Deeds. I don't think you have to worry.
Yeah, because that's filed in the courthouse.
Dining receipts for 2, I think you're good.
Yeah, because even though it let's just say Wells Fargo was hacked tomorrow, that all of that other documentation is filed in your local courthouse, and your attorneys, your title attorneys, they have all that documentation. So I wouldn't worry. It's a good question though. Something to think about. We had a super chat come in. Oh, Clearwater Valley. Eddie's going to throw this up, I think. I'll go ahead and show it. He says, thank you for all your time and knowledge.
Thank you, Clearwater.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you.
Oh, someone just subscribed to your channel too. Just subscribe to Sir Ashley's channel, came across the knowledge, and he is likable. I told you. I told you were likable. I have to tell you, I came across his video because my husband saw one of his videos, and he's like, "Oh, Kristina, you gotta get this guy on your channel." And I'm like, "Oh, who is it?" So I started watching it. I'm like, "I'm calling him up." So I called him up,
and you did. I was totally shocked. I was at the island in my kitchen, and my wife was like, "Who did you just get excited about?" Because I'm not too excitable. I'm pretty much even keel most of the time. She's like, "Who did you just get excited about to talk on the phone with?" It was you. It was you.
It's me, because it's not because I'm awesome. It's because my community is so awesome. If it wasn't for my community, I would not be here. They are the best. I have the best subscribers. They give me articles. They give me those pictures that I put on, the community page. I couldn't do it without the help of all my subscribers that help me with things they want me to talk about on this channel. So I want to say thank you to all you all that
it's
have been
truly a
with me
community and family. That's one thing that I've realized even on my own page. It's truly a community and family, and I value that as well. That's one thing I didn't know or expect when you start YouTube, but just how much you get to know your subscribers and how much they supportive how supportive they are of you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, speaking of subscribers, Joe has a question for us.
Okay.
He says, "What do you foresee as the future of curbing REITs, VR and VRBOs, and I'm sure that's Airbnbs.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What do you
Regulation.
mean by curbing? Oh,
What
regulations.
do you
Oh,
think?
I think REITs are fine. REITs, I
Mhm.
mean, again, Congress established that, so they want the average person investing in real estate. Um, so I think we're fine there. With VRBO and Airbnb, uh, that's more unknown because a lot of the hotel chains have a lot of big lobbyists in DC. I went to Georgetown. I used to work on Capitol Hill. I have friends on Capitol Hill now. So you have big lobbyists for these hotel companies want to fight against VRBO and Airbnb because it's costing them a lot of money. So that's going to be interesting because you also have subdivisions and communities putting up covenants and restrictions limiting Airbnbs and VRBOs. So it just really
In
depends
rental
on,
units.
yes,
I
rental
tell people.
units.
I tell people if you don't have that in your HOAs, get them in there as quickly as possible, especially if you're in entry level
Yeah,
subdivisions, because it's happened right around the corner here.
saw that.
There is a subdivision that wasn't what I would consider an entry level housing development, and over 75% of it is rentals. And you can tell because they don't have the same pride and ownership as a
Hmm.
person that actually owns the house. The
Yeah,
people that rent a house, they just mow the lawn. They don't take care of the flower beds. I'm not saying all renters, but it's apparent what
yeah.
happens to some rental properties. CC Moons gave a $1 super chat and says, "You're the world. What are your world predictions for FY22 Nostradamus?" Oh, she wants me to pull up my what
Are you
is
putting
it?
on your hat?
No,
Okay.
it's
All
a
right. All
my
right.
crystal ball. It says my prediction is the real estate market will still continue to be unpredictable. Here's the thing. I I I still believe that we're going to see record uh, price increases in some of the major cities like Atlanta, Austin, Fort Worth, Texas, like some of the places that we've been seeing. Uh, some of the smaller areas are going to start leveling out, like some of these rural towns that popped up because people could do remote work. Learning. I got kids. Um, those are not going to be as rising as quickly as they had been in
Mhm.
a couple of years because everybody's starting to get used to the new normal, so
Yeah.
we're still going to see a price increases even with the interest rates going up. People are like, oh, that's what's going to take the market, and unless the interest rates go up 10%, I can't see how it could, because of the fact we have such a shortage of supplies of houses on the market right now, and there's no new construction that's going to be done that isn't already pre-sold already. I mean,
Exactly.
in my area there and in all those major areas, they're already sold before they're even built because people have been waiting and waiting and waiting for a house.
So I'm right with you. Real estate is hyper local. If you live in an area where there's job growth, good schools, people are coming into the community,
Mhm.
housing prices are going to continue going up. Even with the rise in interest rates, it's just supply and demand. It's simple. It's unfortunately people are want something complex, but it really is just supply and demand.
When the interest rates eked up a couple times throughout this year, the only thing that did was make
Will shoot up
people even
demand.
shot up demand. That's
Yes, yeah,
exactly what happened. It made
yeah.
people go crazy, and they actually were driving us nuts. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we're
So
trying our hardest to find you a house. If you think that that we're gonna be able to
yeah,
magically come up with one because the interest rates came up, I can't." Like, I'm looking on for sale by owners. That's what I was like, that's how I
yeah.
got people in houses this year. I
Mhm.
sold for sale by owners. It was the
Oh,
only way I
nice.
could get them into a house.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
that's a lot of work.
consumers are we're predictable because when interest rates start increasing, you have a fear of missing out and missing out on the bottom. So you're like,
Mhm.
I don't want to pay that high rate, so you just hurry up and get into the
Oh,
market.
we lost you.
Oh, can you hear me? Here I am. What
Oh,
about
I
now?
lost him. Uh-oh. Hold on.
All right,
I
all
can't
right.
hear you. Audio. Uh, uh-oh.
I'm making sure,
Oh,
trying
my
to see
my
if
earbuds
it's
must have
me.
died. Hold on, I gotta plug in my earbud. You just keep
Okay.
talking, Ashley.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, hold on. We had a question here. What was the question, Eddie? Do you think the government will ever regulate how many investment properties each person can buy? I don't. I don't foresee that happening. Again, we live in America, so it's a capitalism society. I don't see the government intervening. What you will have is banks. You know, even now, some banks will only invest or loan on 5 to 10 rentals per person. So that's when investors get creative and go the non-qualified mortgage route. So there's always a way around people investing or getting more investment properties. Are you with us, Kristina? That is something I don't know, Lon. The criteria for a home to be classified as a HUD
Eddie.
house.
Mm-hmm.
I am unsure. That's probably Kristina has that answer. We're losing her. So while Kristina and Eddie are working that out, I have a question for you all. Have you all gotten any raises this past year, or have you changed jobs and gotten a pay increase? Because that's what I'm seeing a lot of my clients receiving. So even while interest rates are going up and prices are going up, they are getting more money as far as from their job, more income. 2% raise. Nice, nice. I saw an article today in the Wall Street Journal. I'm about to send it over to you, Eddie. Where it talked about people, white collar workers getting the highest pay increase, the fastest pay increase in 20 years, which is quite insane. So while home prices are going up, not many people are talking about how buyers can actually afford more. All right, I think we got something. I think we're working. Unknown 2% damage control. Yes. So what I recommend to those of you who got anything less than 5% is to at least apply for other jobs. I know you might have a sense of loyalty to your employer, but apply to the other jobs and just see what that pay may be like. And then you can take that to your current employer and to see if you can negotiate more income or revenue for yourself. That is true. Hyperinflation does exist right now, or it's on its way. However, even with that, a lot of pay increases are not even just leveling out. You're still coming out ahead right now. I would not recommend getting fired. I'm trying to. I'm looking at your questions right now. Excuse me, laid off. Yes, yes. No, inflation is definitely real. I don't want to shortchange it. You were paying more at the gas pump. We're paying more for energy costs at the grocery store. So it is definitely real. What I suggest is before you go to the grocery store, do not be like me. I just go down not every aisle, but aisles and just grab things. I say create a list, stick to the list, and plan your meals. That way, while you can't avoid being impacted by inflation, it sort of limits it to where you're just not spending frivolously. Hannah, as a first time investor, how do I suggest? So this may be a little bit out there. I'm all for going the traditional route. There's nothing wrong with that. Traditional route, I mean, going to a bank, getting qualified and pre-approved and all that. But I recommend for a millennial or anybody to get into investing to go the non-traditional route, which is doing it subject to. Are we getting Kristina back? There we go.
I'm in my living room.
Okay.
I'm in my living room. I couldn't
Nice.
get that audio to hear. I don't know.
No worries.
that's
I
the
tried to hold it
benefits
down
of a
for
new.
you.
Oh man, you're a gem. I knew you would be able to do it. Like if it's
Yeah.
gonna happen to anybody, it's gonna happen to me. And if it was going to happen, it was gonna happen live. So
No, that happened to me on my last live stream. I muted myself like 3 times. I got kicked off. It was a mess. And I'm thankful for my subscribers and family for sticking with me and understanding. But
Eddie's in the showroom now.
okay. Well, real quick, I want to get back to Hannah's. Hannah had a question about investing. I recommend subject to investing. If you're not sure what that is, please look it up. It's a way to own a property. You actually transfer over the deed, and you don't have to worry about getting pre-approved or pre-qualified with the bank. You're just taking over that other person's mortgage. It's creative, but if you look at the state contracts, it's actually, I'm not saying it's actually legal. It's on the state contracts in North Carolina. So it's perfectly legal. Not many people use it or know about it because we're so used to doing things the traditional way. But definitely, I recommend looking into subject to investing to grow your rental portfolio without much cash out of your pocket.
Thank you.
Yes. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Well, welcome back. I'm going to just pull up a question really quick. Oh, Eddie's got it. Never mind. I think that was already a question that we did.
Okay.
Which one did you do? Did you do this one?
I did.
Here he goes. Question: if true inflation rate is nearly 20%, will it push more homes to investors and block lower income families from buying? Yes.
Yes. I think the true inflation rate is around 10%. But I mean, if we're thinking 10, 20, yes, I think it will push homes to more investors. I tell everyone, like, just get on the housing ladder sooner than later. If you can afford it and if it's in your budget, the sooner you do so, the happier you will be because you're paying for housing costs regardless. Like, you're paying rent. So you might as well get some equity and have something that's yours.
You said something, the happier you'll be. And I always get this comment that somebody always states, you will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
That is a really terrible way to think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To think that you'll own nothing and be happy. So you're just basically paying rent for the rest of your life. And some younger people believe that they're like, well, I mean, you don't have the maintenance and the taxes and someone else has to take care of it. And I'm like, they're building wealth off
Off
of
of
your
you.
rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know the whole philosophy and I probably need to read more about it, but that whole idea do you know anything about this?
I know a little bit about it. It's just one of those things. A lot of people that were in the home or younger when their parents lost their home in 2007, 2008, 2009, to where they just have a bad taste in their mouth regarding real estate and home buying and everything. And then, I mean, that generation suffered a lot. I mean, they're still suffering. They went through, you had the war in Afghanistan, you have the first recession, you're dealing with the pandemic. Like, they're very jaded age group demographic, and I can't blame them. However, I would caution them and hope that they look at things in a bigger perspective.
I can see why their frustration, though.
Yeah, most definitely.
In hot job market, salaries start to swell for white collar workers, right? But here's the thing. So the things that were offered to our parents growing up, like things like pensions and retirement plans and all those things are like literally a story, a myth, like they don't exist for younger people today. So a lot of people aren't willing to stay at a job for 20, 30 years because
Yeah.
they're working just as hard, but they're not making the
Hmm.
same kind of benefits that their parents did. So I can understand why they're
Yeah.
little jaded.
Yeah. Most
Salaried
definitely.
employees are joining hourly workers and getting hefty raises thanks to a hot job market and inflationary inflationary pressure
Yeah.
that are also boosting pay for workers, including waiters and warehouse staff. So I don't blame them for demanding this. I think
Yeah.
waitresses probably got the biggest shaft of them all. First of all, they couldn't wait on tables for the longest time. Then
Yeah.
after the like when they opened up restaurants again, they got harassed by a lot of patrons when
They're
just
still
doing their
getting
job.
harassed here in North Carolina. They
It's
are
terrible.
getting
They're
they.
just doing what the
Yeah.
company or the area mandates them to do. They cannot help what the area mandates them to do, and they're just trying to do that. They get only paid like $2.16 an hour, and they live off of tips. And
Hmm.
so the people that are waiting, getting in these restaurants, some of them are not even tipping because they're so angry because of the mandates, which is unfair.
Yeah.
The people that wait tables really should be your heroes because they really have been they're literally standing there in the front lines face to face closer than a lot of people in any other job. And even they're not saving lives, don't get me wrong, but they've been putting up with a lot of garbage.
They've been putting up with a lot of essential workers, whether it be the people stocking the grocery stores, you said healthcare workers,
Mhm.
wait staff. They've been through a lot, and they are greatly overlooked by society right now. And we owe them a great debt.
Yeah. And I don't
Yeah,
blame them for demanding a lot of
exactly.
things. But
Yeah.
I will tell you this, that some companies purposely have been keeping their skeleton staff for one reason and one reason only. And
Hmm.
that's because they took out one of those loans.
Ah, yes.
And so they don't want to have to pay back the government. And so if they say, "Well, we're trying to find employees,
Hmm.
but nobody wants to work." That's been one of those things we hear that all over the news. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. Well, they put out these like things that say, "Oh, apply for a job. We're hiring," but they're not really hiring. They just have to look like
Yes.
they're hiring, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
they say, "Oh, well, they just couldn't find any qualified staff that wanted to work for that amount of money." It's not true. In many cases, they're intentionally not hiring so they don't have to pay back the government the money that they borrowed during the pandemic. So,
Yeah.
in some cases, I'm not saying all that,
Yeah.
how some people are. If REITs are invested in only a commercial property, aren't they going to tank with many working from home? I work from home and for big tech, and I never anticipated returning to the office.
Yeah. Good question, Joe. That's why, being perfectly honest, that's why I said invest in REIT ETFs to where you're diversified, to where you're protected against that. But yes, some big tech companies, obviously, you have, what was it, Pinterest? They ended up giving $90 million to pay off their lease to not have to go back to the office. So you do have that, but I'm in North Carolina, so I'm gonna speak on North Carolina. You have these large big tech companies coming here, and they are actually staffing facilities here. So while some areas, I'm with you, they're never going back to the office. Here in North Carolina, you're in the South, you're going back to the office. So
you you're going back.
you're going back.
Whether
Yeah,
you want to or not,
yeah,
you go back. I hate when the offices were doing that because some people, I said, they were like, I had more productivity working from home. I can literally show them the numbers. Like, please let me work from home. And some people are just flat out demanding it. Like, I have done more for you since the pandemic, since I've been working from home than any other time. I do not want to not have to wear sweatpants again.
I
Like,
mean, a lot more people they find out they're more productive working from home.
yeah,
One, you're always accessible for the most part, right?
right.
And you don't have to worry about that 30-minute to an hour commute every day.
Yeah,
Like, so you're
yeah.
just more productive.
So do you
Yeah,
think that there's gonna be continue because people are gonna wanna stay at home and that more offices are more open to the idea? Do you think that rural areas are gonna continue to increase as much as they have as far as rent and, home prices?
I do. I
You
do.
s that j at that record high level?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do? Wow. I kinda I don't know. I just don't see how some rural areas are gonna make these price increases
Well,
after.
it's one of those things. So we're going to keep price increases. I think, again, everything right now moving forward is going to be a record high, right?
Well,
So
inflation driven.
inflation driven. So like it's going to keep
Mhm.
going up. It's not going to go up at the same pace, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
going to keep going up because every month we're setting new highs. So it's how you look at it. Like yes, it's going to keep setting new records because the supply and demand.
Mhm. Do you think Zillow's gonna get back in the game with buying houses under a new umbrella?
um, they better not. Uh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think reason why I don't think so is they realize that they need to just stick to what they're good at, which is selling leads to realtors.
Data collection.
Exactly.
That's what they're good at,
That's what they're good at.
and they can sell that data collection, and if you look who's the biggest investors in Zillow,
Hmm.
it's the same companies that are buying up a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
One of them was BlackRock, who
Yes.
pulled
Yeah.
out recently, but they'll be right back.
Yeah. They'll be
You
right
know,
back. Yeah.
they'll be right
Yeah.
back. But yeah, they've always done it. They've always bought. Then not only that, did we as us as real estate agents were giving over that information for free. We were like told, and I've told people this before, but this is real interesting. So, in order to get your profile to show up on top on Zillow and you didn't
Yeah.
have to pay for it, they'd say, we would like your clients to go ahead and rate you as a real estate agent, and the higher you get the stars and the more reviews you get, the higher your profile will go up on the Zillow premium list, right? So, yeah, so then we get all our customers to do that. Well, what is the customer doing? They're filling that all out and they're giving them their address, they're giving them their email, they're
Yep.
giving them all of their information. So now that's more data collection for them as a company.
Yes.
They've always been a data collection company,
Yeah.
and we willingly gave them that information for free.
Not only
For
that,
free.
like a lot of MLSs, Carolina MLS for one of them, like you
Mhm.
just let them in. You let them in, not and they control what they bought showing time as well. So they have that
Mhm.
data as far as when are
Dot
people
loop.
looking at homes and all that. So they are I believe they should stick to what they're very good at, which is data collection.
They also bought Dot Loop, which is
Yeah.
a contract signature application, so they can read all of our contracts and exactly how we write our contracts. They can read that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Ugh, sickening. Okay, Keith Wakefield says, question: what is the average percent of closing costs for the seller? What is an average percentage of closing costs for a seller? Well, Eddie's got this. Average closing costs in 22 how to keep yours low. Closing costs are typical to 2 to 5%
Yeah.
of the loan amount. That would be for the buyer.
Buyer.
And
Yeah.
is in a smaller percentage for larger loans. For example, closing costs for $100,000 might be $5,000 or a five. But on a $500,000 mortgage, they'd be likely $10,000. But that's for the buyer side. For the
Yeah.
seller side, that's going to depend on your state, how much like your doc stamp fees are going to be. Closing costs are going to vary state per state. How much is it in your state?
Once you add in commissions and all that, we're taking all that in consideration for the seller.
Mhm,
We're
mhm.
talking about, I would say, 8%, 7 to 8%.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
7 to 8% of
Yeah.
the final closing
Yeah.
cost,
Yeah.
closed cost of the house.
Yeah.
CC Moon with the super chatter of the day says,
Thank you, CC.
yes. Do you think people will have more credit card debt or less money in emergency savings due to the inflation of next year? Both.
Yeah.
What is your prediction?
I agree. Both. Well, this past Christmas season was crazy with credit card debt and just people buying, and the consumer went wild. I've been looking at those numbers. So yeah, I think both are likely. And what I'm seeing, or what I'm concerned about, is people that want to get in the housing market, going out and buying that overpriced used car, where
Cars are expensive right now
car,
too.
and they don't realize that every $100 you spend on a car payment, you're losing significant amount of buying power when you're purchasing a new home. So I foresee both credit card debt and lack of savings going up. And then to add to that, if they're purchasing new car or used cars or even new cars, that's going to kill their purchasing power as well.
Yeah, they call it your DTI, your debt to
Exactly.
income ratio.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you screw that up, boy, that amount of you can buy for a house is just
Hmm.
scorched.
Yes.
Oh, I have to ask you this. I don't know if
Hmm.
this has come up in the chat, but I have to ask you this because I happen to get a new VR, right? So
Yes.
I noticed that there is real estate, well, put in quotations, in the VR world that you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
purchase. It's
Yeah.
expensive. Do you think that's like a real viable, real like investment, real estate investment? I am so blown
I,
away by this because it's not
yeah.
real. It's fake
I
real
I
estate. I don't know.
I can't get on board with that. I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that yet. When we're talking about VR and the metaverse and all that, I think there will be some great applications
Mhm.
in the future for the traditional real estate agents and stuff like
Right.
that. But as far as buying virtual real estate, I need to do some more my own due diligence and study because I'm ignorant. But as of right now, because of my ignorance, I have to say stay away.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and I can't wrap my brain around it. Like, why would somebody spend $37,000 for a virtual, not a physical piece of
Yes.
land, but
And that's on the low end. I've seen
NFTs.
some very high
Yeah.
ones, some very, very expensive ones. And I'm like, why? I
I
don't
can't
know. Yeah.
wrap my brain I mean, are we that old? Have we gotten that old that we can't understand things? I mean, oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah.
I need to physically, tangibly touch something, but I have to tell you, this is a true story. When I was in high school, they talked about how everybody would be able to use their own credit card that was physically attached to their bank account, and they were gonna be able to use that credit card in anywhere, and it would automatically deduct money from their checking accounts. I'm like, who is the idiot that's going to let them take money specifically from my
Yeah.
checking
Yeah.
account? Like, that will never happen. I was wrong. I was wrong.
Nice, nice.
Any investors worried about government mandated rent controls? I know that in big cities, that's always been one of those things.
Yeah.
And the federal government cannot rent control a state's rent. I mean, that would be a individual state. So,
Hmm.
is that something you're concerned about in your area?
Here, no. North Carolina, we're not. We're not. South Carolina, that's not going to fly in the South. It's not going
No.
to fly. It's not going to fly.
It ain't gonna fly in Louisiana either.
Yeah.
And that, I want to go back to something that you had said about Airbnbs here in
Hmm.
Louisiana. The hotel industry scorched the
Yes.
Airbnb business, and there were condos being built right across the street from the hotels, the big hotels in
Hmm.
on Bourbon Street, and they went up and they never even got finished because they scorched it.
Yeah.
They were all
People
going to
don't
be
realize
overused.
how much. Well, I'm sure they do realize.
Hmm.
Money provide you with a lot of influence.
Yeah.
So yeah.
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 I know that money can make things a lot easier, that's for sure. It does
Yes,
make people evil as could be though, man.
it does. It does. The love of money.
I know, it's disgusting, greed. Kristina Smallhorn, question, is there a mass exodus in
Suburbanized.
suburbanites, thank you,
Yeah.
suburbanites to small towns and rural areas happening? I suspect it's going to keep increasing with that increase in real estate prices. Yes. So I've noticed in my area, like some areas that were used to be affordable are now a lot more expensive. So people are willing to drive a little bit further out, but that always happens. The
Yeah.
problem is, this is the biggest problem with anything that has to do with moving further out, is that we do not have the infrastructure throughout the United States to build up these rural areas. Even though it's less expensive for real estate, they do not have the road infrastructure. They do not have the right kinds of bridges. They do not have enough schools for an
Schools.
influx of people coming in that would want to move to more affordable areas that would be considered more rural. That has been our problem for the last 30 years. The
Yeah.
infrastructure has not been maintained or increased. It's a problem in Australia too. That's why their home prices are overwhelming, because
Yeah.
it's like basically there's a big giant land, a line in the sand in Australia. They're like, don't build over here. And they didn't, they did
Yeah.
nothing. And so now everybody's squished in this one little area, and real estate is so expensive, super expensive.
Not to get political,
Uh-oh.
but
Uh-oh.
when we talk about infrastructure, America has been lagging behind so many other countries. And we spend millions and billions of dollars on wars that our people don't want to be in. And we have an infrastructure bill in place to try to help. I know people can talk about spending and inflation and all that. It's going to hurt inflation and all that. But it's if we're talking about investing in the future and building up that infrastructure, it was on the table. It's on the table.
Well,
So
here's the problem with any bill. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah,
It isn't just the infrastructure bill. They
yes.
tie in
Oh yeah, a whole bunch of pork.
70,000 other little
Yeah, yeah,
things
a whole
into
bunch of
that
pork.
bill, and
Yes, yeah,
they like, if anybody, you're an attorney, you
yeah,
understand this.
yeah,
When you start reading some of those bills, I'm like, we're going to be feeding
yeah,
magnolias to pigs to see how that looks.
yeah.
Like,
No,
why is this in there? Like,
it's a
they're like that.
whole bunch of
It's
pork
nonsense. If
in
they
there,
just
and
made it just about
yes, I
infrastructure,
agree. I
and this
agree.
is exactly like
Yeah,
wrote it out so a
yeah,
kindergartner could read that crap and sign it. I don't think there's a politician under the sun that wouldn't sign something that
yeah.
wasn't clear as day, but nobody, not anybody, structures
Yes,
those
I
bills to
understand.
make it
Yeah.
clear for anybody to
No,
read. They
no,
hide a bunch of garbage in there for
I
their
agree.
pet projects outside of that so
And
they
that's
can
the
get
thing.
reelected the next year.
Yeah, yeah. Like you want to win over certain people, so you give them you throw them things. So no, there's a
Mhm.
lot of pork in all the bills, but sometimes you have to, in my opinion, you have to just chalk it up and do what's better for America as a whole. It might hurt us in the short term, but in the long term, if we're thinking about things, and buying a home is a long term investment, in my opinion. If we think about things in the long term, I think it will just be better for everyone in the long term. In the short term, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, in Louisiana, I think we have the top 3 most dangerous bridges in the United States.
There you
Our
go.
roads,
Yes.
you literally could
Yeah.
like, you're driving through Mississippi, and you don't even have to see the sign, "Welcome to Louisiana." If there's literally a drop off, and then you're going "Gunk, gunk, 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 gunk," like this. I'm like, "Oh, we made it to
Yeah.
Louisiana," and sure enough, like less than a mile to the road, there's the sign. I'm like,
That's how you know you're in
"Wow."
South Carolina as well. Because I live right on the border of northern South Carolina. As soon as the roads get bad, you've gotten in South Carolina. You don't need to
Yeah.
see a sign.
Louisiana is so notorious for bad roads that our car insurance is higher, not because of more car accidents. It's because
It's
our
just
roads are so bad
oh man,
and it causes cracked
I did
windshields
not
and
know
stuff.
that. Wow. Okay.
We
Yeah.
moved from Florida. I'm like, why is our car insurance so high? And then she told me why. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Hannah has a question. Says, do you think Airbnbs and VRBOs is a big reason why real estate prices are so inflated? People can now sell their properties as business. I think this depends on the area, but you give your
Yeah.
opinion and I'll give you
No,
my 2 cents.
it definitely depends on the area. If you're over by the coast, excuse me, you have people, you have Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Wilmington here in the Carolinas, the Outer Banks. Yes, you have that to where, hell, we're renting an Airbnb this coming summer, and it is crazy expensive. So yes, I can see how it is inflating the real estate prices in certain areas, but in general, I don't think that's the cause for inflated real estate prices.
Well, there's places like around Disney, for
Yeah.
instance. Those areas, those neighborhoods basically turned into Airbnbs, and those
Mhm.
like condo complexes are literally for people that are doing investments. Like there's timeshares throughout there. There's condos that were built specifically for Airbnbs. Disney doesn't care because it's not on Disney property,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they have got that covered. That's why they bought
Mhm.
acres and acres and acres of land years
Years ago.
ago, so they
Yes.
could be like, "Yep, you can
Yeah.
be on a hotel right on the premises,"
Hmm.
So, those I don't think those places are going anywhere. I know that, I talked to, Ken Pozak, he's a real estate agent in
Yep.
Orlando, and he said that for a hot minute there, people were a little nervous because, of course, nobody was going to Disney, so they just put their houses on the market. Some of them that were kind of nervous about that, they sold them for a heck of a profit, and they moved on. Now they regret selling those houses.
Yes.
They should, because everybody's back in the plan. But I can
Yeah.
understand why people do that. I think the people that are going to have a problem with their Airbnbs are the ones that are close to areas that have a lot of hotels. And if regulations come into effect, most areas that I know that has happened to, they were grandfathered in. So if you had your rental property as an Airbnb for more than a year, you were grandfathered in. You would continue to be able to keep that as an Airbnb. Some areas they said absolutely not. But I
Mm.
mean, home prices are going up so exponentially, it doesn't matter. But I still say investment firms are causing a big problem with price increases throughout the United States. Huge
No,
problem.
most definitely. No, most definitely. As I said, you have the traditional home buyer wanting to buy, but then right behind them, you have 2, 3, 4. I had earlier this year, 15 cash offers from investors.
Yes.
So my question to you is, when you have a seller,
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's a seller's responsibility to not sell to an investment company
No,
and to sell to a owner occupant, even if,
no.
again, okay, just wondering.
No, it's
Yeah.
not their responsibility.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're if you're trying to sell your home and you want to make the most money that you can, you take the highest, best offer
Yeah.
that's offered to you. Unless you have like this deep moral compass that you're like, I want to give it to a family. I don't want to sell it to an investor. And I've had sellers do that.
I've had
They're
sellers like that
Mhm.
until that investor came with like $20,000 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you
So yeah,
can't blame a seller for
exactly.
wanting to get an extra $20,000.
$20,000 is at that point.
No.
It's like, I can understand. I can understand.
I think the biggest problem is really honestly from new home builds. New
Yeah.
home builders should not be able to sell all their houses, all their new builds to in companies, unless that company is building their houses themselves. That company bought the land. That home company is paying the builder. That company, then that's a totally different situation. But if a home builder starts a whole neighborhood, they've sold 3 houses to individuals, and then some other company comes through and says, "We'll buy out the rest of your lots. You build them up, and we'll buy them for X amount of money." That's a problem because there's a lot of people. It's happening in Arizona a lot, and those people are looking for affordable housing options.
I would say,
and that's not fair.
Here in North Carolina, at least the Charlotte area and Raleigh area, a lot of the builders do not allow investors to buy. New construction build communities aren't allowing investors to buy. Now, I say that because this one community did not allow investors to buy. And then it was in the December, they reached out to me like, "Sir, I know you work with a lot of investors. Who do you have?" And I'm like, "Are you allowing investors in the community now?" They're like, "Well, a contract just fell through. We need to close this by the end of the year to get it off our books. So we're allowing investors in. So for this occasion." But a lot of new communities aren't allowing investors in. But the challenge is that the price point still is out of the realm for a lot of first-time home buyers.
Yep. So Mary Moore says, how are the Gen X doing? I haven't heard much about my generation. We are the most laid back, stand in the background generation ever, because we raised the loudmouth kids that have a lot to say. But we were raised by the parents that were like, "Do as you're told." So we keep our mouth shut. We don't stir up the pot. But we're not doing bad. We're still not doing as good as what our parents did. That's for sure. Here we are, Generation X, right there. If you can squeeze that out just a little bit further so I can see it. My love. Eddie, my love. Eddie's in the background making these wonderful charts. 19.7% of population distribution in the United States in 2020 by generation. Our Generation X was 19.7. Is that correct, Eddie? Millennials are 21.93. Boy, the millennials are killing it. And then the baby boomers. Strong. The baby boomers are killing us. Like look, this is how low key we are. We're below everybody else. We learned how to raise ourselves with a key around our neck and open the door and do it. We're just like, just leave us alone. It's just, I don't know how old you are, but I'm Generation X. I was born in 73. So.
I'm a millennial.
Yeah. Well, millennials though are the ones that are buying the homes are a lot older millennials. They're older millennials, and they're very well paid.
Very well paid. I say we because I'm a millennial. We hit the housing market strong. The past 2 years, I've had clients, millennials, and they're like, "We want a home," and they were determined not to be outbid. Like they wanted it and they got it.
With cash.
So a lot of people were talking about us millennials living at home in our mother's basement.
Because they were saving up.
We were saving up our money. That's what was happening. We were saving up our money, and then we hit the housing market strong, and I foresee that continuing. Actually, I just got off the phone right before jumping on with you with three different couples, all millennials, chomping at the bit, just waiting. So we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, because you guys have got the internet before we did. We were still learning, and you
We
guys
were the
are like,
first generation that like transitioned over and we're used to Atari and had everything. So
hey, now we had Atari. We started with Pong, man. The generation wars that with the media contrives is so ridiculous. Betty says, "Happy New Year's, Eddie and Sir Ashley, Kristina as well." The question is: it smart to sell one rental property to invest in the stock market? If I was to sell one rental property, I'd buy two with the amount of proceeds before I'd ever stick it in the.
I would not put it in the stock market right now. Maybe. Again, this is, we're looking back now, but maybe in the beginning of this pandemic, it might have been smart to buy at the dip. But right now, I don't think it's wise. If anything, if you sell one, see if you can divert those funds and see if you can get two. Yeah.
If they had duplexes here, I would have
that is something that South Carolina and North Carolina do not have enough of. And I come from upstate New York. Duplexes, like it is, talk about affordable housing. That is a house hack. Duplexes, triplexes, quads, the perfect house hack to where you rent the rest of the units out and just live for free.
You can use your VA loan on duplexes as well. So if you have a VA loan and you're in an area that has duplexes, do that.
Yes,
that's a smart financial decision.
Totally agree.
Brandon says, do you feel realtors and buyers should avoid homes sold by open door? I often hear they're lipstick on a pig, but they're often on the market for quite some time with few bidders. Any house on the market, if in my area, any house, doesn't matter who's selling it, on the market right now sells super fast. So I don't know where you live or there's an issue where they wouldn't want to buy open door, but anytime you deal with any kind of property that's been flipped, but it doesn't matter if it's been open door, any company, you should have an inspection done, on a thorough inspection. If you don't like that inspection, have another inspection. You can have as many inspections as you want within that. In Louisiana, it's a 10-day inspection period. You could have had that day shortened down. But if you find a bunch of stuff wrong with that house, don't move on, So what do you say?
I'm right with you. First, I want to say, Sylvia, yes, my first name is Sir Ashley. I didn't give myself a title. It's my birth name. I don't want you think I'm just a pretentious person. It's my birth name. So Sir Ashley. But Brandon, yes. Any property right now, if it's being flipped, a lot of investors are knowing that they can just put lipstick on a pig and just try to sell it for above what they bought it for.
Fresh carpet, fresh paint, call it a day.
Put agreeable gray paint in there and just be perfectly fine.
Perfect grayish. Agreeable gray.
So with that said, yes, I'm with you, Kristina. Get a thorough inspection in North Carolina and South Carolina. You have a due diligence period. You negotiate in your contract. Get a third party inspection. If you're in the Charlotte area, reach out to me, or North Carolina in general, reach out to me. My inspector is an old engineer, and he is very, very retired engineer. He's very thorough, and I can put you in contact with him, even if you don't use me as a realtor.
Another little contract hack if you're trying to win a bidding war. So you could say inspection period to be waived. Inspection is for buyer's information only unless the inspection repairs equal X amount of dollars over this amount. So that's how I've gotten people to, it's waived per se, but then they go through and get the inspection period, and then they find out that the whole house needs a brand new roof, and that could be $30,000-$40,000 here because of the way how roofs are pitched.
I didn't know that. Okay, wow.
Yeah, they're expensive. And so that's just a little contract hack for you. Anybody that's looking for.
That is right on. I've won a couple bids, and not this past year doing that, but early on in 2020, putting that to where we waive it unless it's a certain amount comes back. So
you got to prove that though. You can't just come up with that number. You got to prove that.
Have to bring over the inspection report, show them what happened, and the inspector is going to take pictures and document it. So you definitely have to prove it.
You got to prove it. George says 22 is forecasted to be crazy, but will there be a major correction in 2023? 2023. What do you think, Sir Ashley? What do you
Major
think?
correction. Define
Major
major.
correction.
So major correction in my mind, I'm thinking 15 to 20%. No, I don't foresee that happening. Again, we're not going to just
I don't dare
automatically.
even say anything.
Yeah,
Honest to God, I don't dare, because
yeah,
what the beginning of this year looks like right now may look totally different in 6
that is
months from
true.
now,
That is
depending
true.
on the financial markets also determine the real estate market, and so does the employment market. So, I mean,
So,
I don't even dare say. I won't
so
even
with
dare
that,
say.
I'm going to entertain this a little bit.
Okay.
So hypothetically, let's say you have a major correction, 15, 20%
Hmm.
loss in value. Where does that put us? That puts us back in 2020 pricing,
Which is still high.
still high. And then
Mhm.
interest rates are still going to be higher. So you're still going to be you're still going to lose in that situation by waiting.
Unless you have cash.
Unless you have cash. But not everyone, has that.
Well,
So
there's lots of people still living in their basement that are saving up that nest egg, Mr.
that
Man,
is true.
Mr.
That is
Sir
true.
Ashley,
Yes.
sir. CC Moon says with the $1.99 super chat, she is the super chatter of the stream today.
Thank you, Cece.
Kay and Sir Ashley, what is your New Year's resolution? What is your New Year's resolution, Sir Ashley?
Oh man, so being perfectly honest, I don't have one yet. My family, we're supposed to go. Every year we write down our what our
Goals?
goals are, and I was asleep. I fell asleep early, and then had some family matters. So we haven't had that conversation yet. But if I'm thinking out loud, it would be to be more intentional with my family time. That's my biggest thing. To be more
That's a
present.
good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
My goal is for my subscribers, actually. It is to give them more one-on-one interviews with people that actually live in alternative housing. So I've
Oh,
actually
nice.
set up, I'm actually meeting with somebody this week who she has made her home out of a shed that she had gotten from Home Depot and turned it into a house. It's absolutely precious. So I'm going to be interviewing her, and so that way you can see, because she arranged her whole retirement so she would be able to have enough money so she could travel.
I like
And
that.
I found it fascinating. So she
Yeah.
agreed to let me come out there, and I'm going to be traveling to her home and showing you all. I'm going to be showing my subscribers how you could just basically take a shed and turn it into a home. And it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
really precious. So I'm going to be sharing more of those types of stories
Now I know
on my channel.
you're gonna share this with us, but what part of the country is she located?
This one is in Louisiana, which is
Okay. Okay.
I got
Cool.
lucky this one.
Yeah.
The next one will be in your area,
Nice.
your state. I'm visiting with a man who makes tiny homes out of the container homes, and
Yes.
he
Yes.
builds them from scratch as well. So I'm gonna be
Okay.
talking to him. So I'm really excited about that. Question, Joe says, you reported Boxable in the past. Are they ramping up now? Reports on Elon Musk living in one are now. Okay, so Joe S, this is a true story. So if you
Yes.
go to Elon Musk's Twitter page, because I follow him, he specifically says that, yes, I live in a $50,000 alternative house that I rent from for my own company, but it's not boxable. He flat out said it was not boxable. So just FYI on that. I'm supposed to be going out to Las Vegas. It's a big giant secret, but I'm willing to share it with 426 of you that are sitting there on the screen
Yeah.
watching.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going out there with an investor who's going to be investing in it boxable. I'm sneaking into the factory. They have no idea that I'm coming. I have not told them. I doubt they watch this live stream, so I'm willing to share the secret with all of you guys. And then as soon as I get out there, I'll be filming that. So that's really exciting.
My thing is, how are you gonna disguise yourself? Are you gonna?
I was
Is
thinking
there a
about putting
wig?
on
Is there?
I was
What's
going to get a
happening?
monocle, a
Okay.
top hat, and a mustache. And I thought that would be the perfect disguise. They'll
Yeah.
never recognize me. What do
Never.
you
They'll
think?
never know who you are.
And I could like have a cigar, like going, you know, like, I don't know, have a whole outfit, like
Nice.
like
Nice.
cat burglar type thing. Brian M says, Northeastern millennial considering using my $100,000 income to buy my first home in Naples, Florida. Okay, then moving next winter to take a cash bartending job. Any tips on financing given my situation, I wouldn't buy a house if you plan on moving within a year. That would be
No. I say if you buy a home now, right now, with prices the way they are, I say at least plan on holding on to it for at least 7 years.
keep holding, make that bigger down payment, make that
Yeah.
nest egg. But if you're going to move within a year of buying a house, don't buy a house within a year.
buy it.
Like that's it. Like you should have at least a 5-year plan to stay in a house is how I always tell people.
Yeah.
If you know that you're going to move in the next couple of years, don't buy a house. EF says, question, is it possible to buy a house using an FHA loan, or am I outbid by cash buyers? That's the only way I see myself being able to buy a home. Okay. You give your thing and I'll give you my thing.
Yeah, it is definitely possible. Definitely possible.
Yep.
While some buyers may frown on FHA loans when they get conventional loans and cash offers, there are a substantial amount of buyers that are like, no, I bought my house with the FHA loan and I want to extend the courtesy and all that. And I believe FHA loans get a raw deal as well.
So do VA loans.
Yeah, most
FHA
definitely.
and VA loans.
Yeah.
There is no difference.
There's no difference at all.
And you can get, there was a period of time that it was like you weren't going to, but now it seems that sellers are more realistic. They're more willing to work with buyers, especially if they have the best offer. Yeah, it is still possible to get an offer accepted with an FHA loan. Yes, it is.
I say put them in, go for it. Don't let that discourage you.
Absolutely not. Nope, not at all. And we have something called rural development loans. Do you have those there?
USDA loans?
Yes.
Yep.
USDA rural development.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Same difference.
We have that. Yeah, no, I recently sold one not too long ago.
They tend to take a little longer to close, but most of the people that it always seems to work out when the people want to use a rural development loan. The people that are selling were like, "Oh, that's how we bought our house."
Exactly.
So they're like, "Yeah, we're willing to wait because we know what that felt like."
Yep.
We're trying to make sure that we got it accepted. So, hey Joe, what do you know? He says he's got a question. Like college, homeownership has become affordable only for the wealthy. True, and debt is king. We are driving 150 miles into the debt crisis wall. How is this sustainable and healthy for Americans?
Oh man,
college is ridiculously expensive.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I sigh because not only I was fortunate enough to went to college for free, but 6-figure student loans in law school. So no, you are correct, and I don't know how it's sustainable. It's not healthy. It's not healthy.
Nope. And I don't know how the higher education system has been able to raise fees as much as they do, because a lot of people that are like college professors are really just contractors, right?
Yeah.
So they don't even get the benefits of working for the college because they're contracted out. So they don't get medical.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't get the medical benefits. They do not get pensions. They do not get tenure. They don't get any of that. So, I mean, I will not say that an education is a ripoff. What I will say is that the college education system has been making a lot of money off of kids' backs.
Exactly.
And if they weren't doing it with the tuition, they were doing it prior with credit card debt.
Yes.
Because that's what they used to do. Is they used to, like, as soon as you walked in the door, they're like,
you get that application.
Hi, college student.
Yes.
Here, you are now qualified for a credit card up to $40,000, and the interest rate is only 27.7%. Sign here, and college kids are like, okay, because they don't know any better. But they didn't allow that. So guess what happened? As soon as they didn't allow that, sure is poop. Those college prices went up the roof. I
would say for those going to college and grad school, be cognizant and look at your end goal or career if you have that in mind. As far as what you're going to project it, look it up as far as what you're going to be making to make sure that decision makes sense.
My kids are so smart. They figured that out. They put out a spreadsheet and they go, okay, so this, how much to college it will cost us. This is how much I'll make at the end. They've done it. My youngest one has done it. That's why she's decided she's going to be an anesthesiologist. She's like, because it will take the longest time. It will take the most amount of money, but I'll be the quickest to pay off. And I'm smart enough to do it. I said, do it.
I have a good friend who is an anesthesiologist in the DC area. And he is, he's enjoying life right now, shall I say. He's enjoying life right now. All that schooling and all that, it paid off. He's enjoying life.
Yeah, but I can see why like younger millennials and, you know, Gen Zs and Gen Ys are discouraged,
Yes,
because
most
those
definitely.
same benefits that my parents and myself enjoyed, lower costs of living, lower cost of college, lower cost, is not afforded to them. So it only seems like the cards are stacked against them. But there is opportunities out there still. I'm just saying.
There's
I can see how they
opportunities.
feel that way.
This is just a plug for North Carolina. Come to North Carolina, gain residence, and then go to one of our state schools. Tuition is very, very reasonable.
LSU, go Tigers.
Well, I went to Georgetown, so I'm all about the Hoyas, but that's what, $50,000 a year. No, I don't recommend that.
Dinner Recipes for Two has a question. It says, we used a HELOC to make a down payment back in 2009 without a seasoned savings. Is that still a way of financing the down, or have the rules changed? If you still have that HELOC in place, you can still do that, but it's more difficult to get a HELOC right now. But a lot of banks stopped doing them, especially when home increases went up, like the start of the pandemic. I was like, get a HELOC, get a HELOC, get a HELOC. Yeah. And sure enough, within 3 months in, they were like, we're not doing HELOCs anymore. And now some banks have brought back.
You are correct. In the beginning of pandemic, I had a few people coming from the West Coast over to the East Coast, and that's how they paid their down payment. They got a HELOC on their current home.
Yep.
Made their offer very attractive because they had that cash right there. And then when they moved in and closed, they went ahead and sold their former home and paid the mortgage and then the HELOC off. So
yep.
It's definitely a strategy to get into a house in the market. It's just finding a lender that offers that now.
Yeah, there is a lending institution out in Seattle, Washington, that makes it like basically they're the HELOC. So they buy the house for you cash, right? But then you close with them. So that way you're able to get that house because they know that cash offers are more appealing. So there is a charge for that. I don't know how much it is, but at least you could get into a house so you have a competitive contract. So we might be seeing more of those as this market goes on crazier and crazier. Do we still have time with you, Sir Ashley? I know we've had you on for about an hour and 26 minutes.
I got a little bit more time.
Okay. Eddie, you want to go ahead and put up the next oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Eddie. Don't put the question up. I have to put this up. Our super chatter says she wants to know if you're single.
I am not single. Not single at all.
All right, Eddie.
Ashley Rose, if you're watching, I love you.
Smart man. I just had to put that up there because I saw it in the corner of my eye. Joe says, any thoughts on climate migration? I live outside of Boulder where fires are burning and destroyed 1,000 homes days ago. Thousands homeless and lost all their belongings in a matter of hours. Well, I live in Hurricane Alley, so I know all about it. What do you think? How do you feel about that? And I'll give you my opinion.
I think it's real. And I foresee a lot of people being impacted with rising insurance costs when they're going to buy a home. With climate change and climate, they're going to be impacted. They're going to be migrating because insurance costs is going to make buying a home or financing a home that much just unbearable.
As many wildfires as California has, they probably have some of the lowest insurance rates in the country, home insurance rates in the country. But I saw firsthand what happened after Katrina here in Louisiana, in New Orleans. I thought there is no way that people are coming back to this. We had a huge migration of people from New Orleans moving up to closer to the Baton Rouge area. And I'm like, these people will never go back. Well, of course they went back. That's their home. That's their home. And they're always going to come back. And if there isn't somebody that, when somebody leaves, someone else is willing to fill that spot, especially if there's jobs available. The only way that I think climate migration is going to cause a problem is if the jobs leave in the area where the place is burned out. Yeah. I mean, if as long as there's a company for somebody to work at, they will continue to keep rebuilding those houses. That's my opinion about that.
I would have to agree. Jobs bring residents. I mean, it brings employees.
Eddie's going to put up another question. Kelsey Chanel says, any ideas of finding a realtor who can make HUD deals, or should I ask any realtor? Kelsey, look, if you're having a problem finding a real estate agent in your area, just reach out to me. You can go to my website, KristinaSmallhorn.com, and fill out the referral form. I'll give you a call. Believe it or not, I actually physically call you once you put your phone number in there, and I'll connect you with a real estate agent in your area that will specialize in HUD homes if you're having a hard time finding one. So you're more than welcome to do that. Construction Cronies with a $10 Canadian super chat says, Happy New Year's, Rue Crew, Kristina, Eddie, and gals. Best of 2022. So if those of you don't know, my channel used to be named Your Real Estate Whisperer. So if you look at the word YREW, those are my initials.
Yeah.
They used to call themselves the Rue Crew. Then I just switched it over to my name. The Warrior says, what do you think about the Northeast Virginia or a DMV area for new single families and TH? What's TH stand for?
Townhomes, maybe?
Townhomes. Will there be a price stabilization, or will it go even higher? I don't know anything about those two specific areas. I will have, if you're looking in, you're talking about the Dallas metro area.
No, she's talking about Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. If you want somebody from that D.C. area, I know a real estate agent. Her name is Karen, and I can have her come on here, and we'll talk about the D.C. area. Just let me know. She's amazing. I send all of my leads to us. She's so good. She's a very good. She's worked on a lot of my referrals, and she's done a fantastic job. So I will have her on here once again. Well, Sir Ashley, I know you got a lot going on with your family. Everybody's been asking for Sir Ashley's channel. Could you pull it up on the screen for everybody there, Eduardo? Did he just say no? Can you hear him in the background? He said no. He's joking. He's totally joking. There it is. He's coming up. Here he is. Look at him. He looks exactly the same on camera as he does on his channel. Which is rare for a black t-shirt.
Always in the black t-shirt.
I'm always wearing black too. So there's 3 colors I wear: black, white, and gray. That's it. That's it. There black he is. Advisor Sir Ashley. He does a great channel, and he's got some great videos, and that's why I put them on my community page whenever I see a really good one. And I'm glad that Eddie was able to find you, and I'm glad that you were able to spend your day with us.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate it. Kristina, I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed your community here. I had a fun time.
They're the best. Yes. They really are the best. I'm very, very fortunate to have been able to attract some of the best humans on the YouTube sphere right here on this channel. So if anybody has a question after the stream is published, or we didn't get to your question today, please put it in the, the comment section of this video, and Sir Ashley and I will be answering them. You can always subscribe to Sir Ashley's channel. I'm already subscribed there. Make sure you turn on all the notifications over there. And again, if you are looking for a referral in your specific area and you're having trouble finding a real estate agent, you could always fill out the referral form on KristinaSmallhorn.com, and I will gladly get back to you. Everybody, I hope you had a fantastic end of 2021. Let's hope that 2022 is the year that we all just knock it out of the park. We get out of our COVID funk. We get into real estate. Everything stays positive. Yes. I'm kind of sick of living in unprecedented times. So let's make our unprecedented times in 2022 the best we can. Let's make it like epic for our families. So turn off the news, turn off the TV, keep going. No Marcel cameo today. He was in here earlier trying to eat. You know what I found out? He likes to eat these. That's my cat. My cat likes to eat these things. They smell terrible. Ugh, and he likes to eat them. So don't forget to hit the like button on the way up. I look forward to seeing your comments after the stream is published. Sir Ashley, is there anything you want to say to the audience before you go?
No, nothing I really want to say. I just want to thank you all for having me on, not commenting any hateful things. I appreciate it.
Oh, I knew everybody would love you.
I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you again.
The up close and personal shot. Everyone's going to asking for your up close and personal shot. So bye everybody. Have a great week. So long. We do a little dance on the way out. You got to do a little, can you do a little? I'm
going to have to pass on that one.
Oh, come on. Just do a little funky chicken. Come on.
I'm the person that just does the 2-step. That's just me in the back of the corner.
Dude, like, do you see
Yeah,
this dancing style I got going
that
on? It's
is
terrible.